heard they're making a movie adaptation of it like years later, I'm like, here we go. This is going to be Slender Man all over again. What is up, guys, and Five Nights at Freddy's fans? Welcome back to my channel. This is OCD Movie Reviews. My name is On the Brinker, and today, of course, I'm going to review the latest video game adaptation, Five Nights at Freddy's. This movie is directed by Tammi and stars Josh Hutcherson, Elizabeth Lail, and Matthew Lillard. A troubled security guard begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. During his first night on the job, he realized that the night shift won't be so easy to get through. So of course this movie is based on a popular horror video game franchise, Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, this is coming from a guy that hasn't played all the Five Nights at Freddy's games, so I won't consider myself as a fan, but I did play the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, and yes, it is a very terrifying game when I first played it, and it's a very intense and fun game. So, when I heard they're making a movie adaptation of it like years later, I'm like, here we go. This is going to be Slender Man all over again. I was not too pumped for this movie, honestly. I just thought the trailers look okay, but it's because of also Blumhouse. They're not doing really well right now when it comes to horror films. So, I was very skeptical when it comes to Five Nights at Freddy's. And to my surprise, I find this movie, honestly, just fine. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to get. I know the reviews of this movie is pretty mixed. The fans of the video games really like this movie. To me, though, I think this movie does have issues, but overall, it's a fine movie for what it was. Let's talk about the positives of Five Nights at Freddy's. First of all, the animatronics. That's the thing that I love the most about this film. The look of the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronics, they look really good in this movie. It really is fresh to see a movie that looks very, very practical. And when it comes to the scares of this movie, it's actually really well done. Like, Tammi does direct the scares very well in this film. There's a certain scare in this film that takes place in the daytime that involves inside the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza place that I was like, this is actually a really well-crafted jump scare, and I thought the movie had some pretty decent scares. Also, the acting was pretty decent. Josh Hutcherson, really good to see him back. I remember him from Peter and the Hunger Games movies. Wow, it's really good to see him acting again. And he does a pretty good job in this film. Also, I would say the actor that stole this movie is this little girl in this film that's apparently Josh Hutcherson's sister in the film. She does a pretty good job in this film. She's very convincing as this kid. She acts like how kids would, I would say, react to the situations that they're in. And there are parts of the movie that she actually is very creepy, and she does play that role very, very well. Also, not going to spoil it, but Matthew Lillard. Really awesome to see him back acting as well in a horror movie, because he's just that talented of an actor. I remember him from Shaggy in the Scooby-Doo movies. Really good to see him back. I do see this film being a fan service movie for the people who really love the games, and I really do appreciate the scares in the film and the animatronics and just the whole atmosphere of this film. But this film is also very, very messy. There's a lot of things happening in this movie. There's a plot convenience involving with Josh Hutcherson. He has a certain past in this film that I wasn't too interested in, because it goes pretty predictable at the end and you know exactly what's going to happen. There's also a family custody plot where basically Josh Hutcherson's daughter might have custody with this evil aunt in the film that I also wasn't too attached or interested. That's also put in the Five Nights at Freddy's film. So yeah, if you're expecting a lot of like Five Nights at Freddy's elements in this film, you don't get really too much of that. It's more about Josh Hutcherson's story that is trying to be connected to the Five Nights at Freddy's elements, and it's just fine. It just didn't really work for me, and I wasn't too attached to it. This film does have ideas. I'm like, alright, this is interesting, but the problem is this is a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. People just want to see some Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, and this film, of course it has to have a story and stuff because this is a feature film, but honestly, I can see this more as a short film, really. This would have been a really good video game adaptation if it was a short film that is very simple to the games, but of course, since this is a feature film, it has to have some story and connections. I'm not saying I hate the story of this film. I thought the story was fine enough for me to get a little bit invested, but it just wasn't as memorable, and it does go very predictable at the end. Like, you know exactly what is going to happen. But I do appreciate the animatronics in the film. Some of the scares are actually really well done. So, I would say Five Nights at Freddy's is definitely very mixed for me. I feel like if I know the games more, I probably would appreciate this film more and I would have had more fun with it. There are some fun parts in this movie, but there are also some parts in this movie where I'm like, okay, It's just, I get what they're going for, but it just did not work for me. Also, Elizabeth Lail in this film, who plays the cop that knows about Freddy Fazbear's, I just thought her acting is so freaking bland in this film. I do like what they did with her character in this film, but just her acting in this film, she's definitely very emotionless throughout the entire movie. Guys, overall, this is definitely a film for the fans of the Five Nights at Freddy's games. If you love the games, you'll have some fun with this movie. To me, I just find this movie just okay. It had some good scares in the film, the animatronics are actually really good in this film, the acting for the most part was pretty good in the film, the story was just too mixed for me. I was fine with it, but at the same time, I'm like, this is a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I feel like the family custody story and Josh Hutcherson's backstory elements in the film, I just feel like it did not work too much for me. But I don't hate this movie. This is not a bad film. This is definitely a movie for the fans. I just find this movie okay. I'm going to give Five Nights at Freddy's a C. So guys, that is my review for Five Nights at Freddy's. Let me know in the comments below what is your favourite Five Nights at Freddy's game. And if you like this movie, hate this movie, or you thought it's alright, let me know that also in the comments below. Make sure you guys follow me on social media links down below, keep contact with me, and make sure you guys subscribe to my channel for my latest movie reviews and other movie related content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a nice day. Oh crap, I dropped my phone.